Welcome to Future Hidden Movie Gems. I am Jordan. Um, I got him. I can't. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he like lights the cigarette. All right, and I've got my co-host Cameron,
What's up, nerds?
and then our other co-host Jake.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I was gonna call you guest, but you're practically family, and you've been on the pod many times, so it's like you're a regular already. All right, so our director is Shin-yeon Won. Probably butchered that, but and then we got Kyung-gu.
Do you
That's
want to say
all.
what movie we're talking about?
Yeah, Memories of Murder. Sorry, Memories.
Memoir,
Memoirs.
Memoir.
Memoir of a Murderer.
A memoir. So, but doesn't it remind you of Memories of Murder? At least the opening shot. You're
Oh yeah,
that tunnel. I'm
Tunnel.
like
Uh-huh.
they.
That's what I thought of.
I wonder if
it's definitely
he's
an
at all.
homage.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he must be a fan of Bong Joon-ho because that totally. I mean, I wonder if he even shot at the same location or if all their tunnels look like that because that was it looked exactly like the same exact. For a second there, I was like, "Oh, is this a continuation off of that story?" Which it's definitely not. The only similarity is that there's a serial killer. Um,
And it's Korean.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's get right into it. Cameron, do you want to start? What's your
What it was like watching for the first time. Yeah, so watching it for the first time was for the pod. Watched it with Jordan and Jake. Um, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, especially like all Korean serial killer films, at least that I've seen, are insanely good. Um, but I really like this take. Just kind of watching it reminded me a lot of Memento and just kind of like piecing things together. When
Memento
you're
meets
like,
Dexter, which I don't. I
yeah,
think you've seen an episode or two of Dexter.
yeah, I've seen like I think it's like 6 or 7 episodes of the first
Oh, so
season.
you know the gist of what it's about, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, very similar to that. A really fun take on like a serial killer who doesn't remember who he's killed, but he's like a good serial killer.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. Quote
To some
unquote.
extent. Yeah.
yeah, he's the
The
lesser
poetry lady.
evil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The poacher guy is like, he's like, if I was still killing people, I would have killed
I
him. And I'm
want to
like,
murder this.
what?
I'm like,
He didn't do anything except that he was a
I know.
douche. Like,
And then somebody else like beating their dog and he murders them. I'm like, where do we draw the line on the whole deserves to die? Like, what's going on? But yeah, overall, watching it for the first time was just really fun.
all right, Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I watched it with you both, and I've only seen a handful of Korean films, and they've all been really great. So my expectations, I guess, were a little high just because I've only seen very good things. But and
They
it
set a high
definitely
bar.
they do, yeah, and definitely met expectations, exceeded expectations. It was super interesting to see just how the dementia, or what was it called, Alzheimer's, like plays into it, and just really a fun watch for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember if I just saw this on iTunes and that's how I came across it, or if somebody on YouTube mentioned it. It might have been
Mm.
Or you thought it
Rickwell
was memories of a murder.
Pictures. Yeah, or I thought it was Memories of Murder.
You
But
were
I
like, oh, I want to rewatch this. Wait, what?
well, but then I remember watching the trailer on iTunes or part of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks great. So I'm like, I don't want to watch anymore. Um, so I don't want anything to spoil it. But goodness gracious, there's so many twists and turns, and this contains so much in the film. I honestly think even if you saw the trailer, it wouldn't cover even a small portion of like all the stuff that goes into this film
Oh no.
because it's just so fun. I'm really excited to talk about this movie. So Cameron, what about you? Two favorite things?
Um, I think definitely my favorite thing, and it's kind of this weird thing that I've recognized about myself lately, that movies that I don't understand or enjoy until like the last 10% of the movie are like some of my favorite movies. Where I'm just kind of like, what the fudge is going on? This better start making sense. Kind of like The Prestige, if it for most of you who've seen The Prestige, just that feeling of like, okay, this movie's okay, but I don't really understand what the purpose of half of the film is. And then like that last 10 minutes just wraps it all up and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to rewatch the movie. Um, so that's why I did this film. I was just kind of like, well, what's the whole purpose of that field? I'm confused at this. Like, what is going on? So I think my favorite thing is just how well the story got wrapped up. I thought it was
Well,
great.
you're a huge fan of serial killers, and so it's just really fun seeing both you and Jake like piecing things together, like as it was unraveling. You're like, oh
Yeah,
no, this is gonna happen. Are you kidding me?
yeah. I will say I never doubted that that mofo was evil. I knew
Yes.
he had that
There,
look in his eye.
there was a few times though that you're like, oh my gosh, if they do this, I'm gonna be so pissed. You're like,
Yeah, I was like, no way that this dude's innocent and it's just the dad that's the evil one. Um, yeah, so that's definitely my favorite thing. My second favorite thing is I thought the performance by not only the dad, but I think especially by the serial killer were amazing. I think that's just something that's like really underrated is like characters or like actors that can learn how to, I don't know, act like a sociopath. I think it's so impressive. I mean, that's probably why Jake Gyllenhaal is my favorite actor of all time. But just same thing with like even characters in Zodiac, like just being able to like say so much with saying so little, and just the way that they act and move, and just like their eyes, like I don't know. I just thought his performance was like perfect because that's why I never doubted. If he had that look in his eye and the way he acted, I was like, "He's such a sociopath for sure."
yeah. What about you, Jake? Two favorite things?
I guess the first thing is probably like you mentioned a little earlier, just all the twists and turns of like, wait, is this what's happening? Did that happen? When, like, for example, just learning about like when a murder happened and he was gone and at that night, and like, did he kill her or did the other murderer kill her? Like, and we're just waiting until later and then we find out, I guess. But just
Yeah.
all these unknown things that are like, wait, did he do this or did someone else or what's happening? And just I really liked that suspense of not knowing for sure. Like there's possibilities that you don't know, and
Well,
both of them are, yeah,
it's so
Jordan,
genius that like it shows you the story play out, but then as he's having flashbacks, because he has memory loss, he's
mm,
like, oh wait, did I kill those people? And then it shows the flashbacks that he was doing, like burying, like putting that body in the river or pulling it out.
yeah,
And you're
uh-huh.
like, oh shoot, wait, is he crazy? And then like, did he actually ram into the guy and see the blood, or was that in his own trunk? Like,
yeah,
Yeah, it's
Jordan,
crazy.
what's that movie of the guy who sees his like wife hanging in the kitchen or whatever?
oh, Cure.
Yeah, this kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, he even kind of looks like the main guy from Cure a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was um not to say they all look like I know Ty would make a joke about that, but
racist.
yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many things I love about this film. Did you say too, Jake, right?
And the second one is I really like like the younger serial killer. Like he
Yeah.
was just such a good bad guy. Like
Yes.
everything he did just like made me mad, kind of like just wanted him to like lose and be killed by this other guy, just because he was so evil all the time and creepy. And
I love how
yeah,
arrogant
he just did
younger
good.
serial killers always are because they know that they have like that physical like prowess over a lot of people
Hmm.
Mhm.
that they're just like I can do whatever I want. I can like he would say to his face, he's like, "You're not gonna remember this, but like I'm gonna kill your daughter." And like, don't worry, I'll take care of her. Like things like that where you're just like, oh, you freaking pig, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many character motivations you understand, and I just feel like everything was built up so perfectly. Like you totally understand even the side characters. I just felt like they were even given good stories. Like I loved that cop so much, and when he finally got that, I didn't really give a quote, but him like lighting that cigarette when he's like, when I catch the guy who killed this girl who I bought the cigarettes from, I'm gonna light the cigarette. And just like getting to see him finally get that moment, even though Cameron's like, he's gonna be behind him because he like lights that
Yeah,
match and there he is standing right behind him and he starts choking him. You're like,
yeah. The
no.
cinematographer was setting it up well. I was like, oh crap, there's too much dark void behind him.
Yeah, yeah. I did not see that coming the first time I watched it. Um, which, oh my gosh, this film does get better on rewatch because there's just all these little details. I love a good detective movie when there's a lot of appreciation for the details, because then later when you watch it, you're like, oh my gosh, like that makes sense why this happened early on. um and I love there's so many great moments watching it with you guys that you're like, oh no, he's gonna drink the bottle of urine, and it's just like little details
Cringy.
that, yeah, and
Yeah,
little details like that I absolutely love, because it just elevates the film. I mean, because you can have a good film, but then I feel like this one kind of takes a step further with those little details. Like you're like, oh no, he has memory loss, or like one of my favorite scenes and had me laughing out loud was when he's in the theater and he all of a sudden he does that like twitch.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, he's gonna forget. And next thing, all of a sudden he's sitting down next to this girl and he's like eating her popcorn and he's
Yeah,
laughing.
that was so funny. He's like,
Yeah, he's like
he's
laughing
just
when
like,
it's the sad parts and like
Yeah.
crying at the
oh
happy
yeah.
parts.
I love it. I love his delayed like emotional reactions.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, they just have so many great moments in this film. And
Well, that's why I think it does such a good job of being a psychological thriller. Of
mhm,
like, I love kind of what Jake mentioned and what you're mentioning, like how it puts you in the shoes of like him, of like, because a lot of times shows will show you, oh, this is what actually happened. So there's like a lot less suspense because then you see he's like, maybe I was the one with the body in
yep.
my trunk. So then you're kind of like, I don't know, man, because then otherwise like the suspense gone and you're like, oh no, you didn't do it. But like you're put in his shoes and you're like, I can't fucking remember. Maybe it was me. Am I losing my
Yeah.
mind? Like,
Well, well, and they have so many different ways of him like that tries to help. There's like what we're seeing, and then he's like doing recordings and he's writing in his journal. And that's why when the villain comes in the room and starts erasing things from his journal, you're like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna forget and he's not gonna remember. But luckily his tape recorder hit the ground and then it recorded a little bit.
yeah,
And then you have that great moment when he sends the recording to his buddy in the police station, and then he's listening to it, and then he approaches him from behind, and he's like, ah, he's like has to pull it up like he's
yeah,
talking to his mom.
yeah.
Just
I love it. He's like,
That was
I
funny.
told you to start. He's like, oh my gosh.
yeah, this movie has a lot of those moments. Like you're like, oh crap. And I feel like a movie's really well done when like you're following the story really well, so well, in fact, like you're piecing the puzzle together exactly how they are. So you can almost like you guys were anticipating the next move almost. You're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen because I know all of this information already. I know he has memory loss. I know like when he does the little face twitch, like when it's gonna happen, and you're like, oh no, and of course it's in the most stressful moments ever.
No,
Mhm.
So yeah, I just mad respect for this film. I think it's a
yeah.
great watch.
Think that my only nitpicks is it maybe could have ended after the house scene. Would have been just kind of the perfect ending. And then where the fudge was that backup, man? Come on. Backup took about 80 years to get there.
That's
Yeah.
right. I forgot about that. Yeah, because as they're pulling out, like I kind of like the idea that maybe he could have died, like you said, and then
Yeah.
it would have almost been like he redeemed himself and it ended. They gave it more of a memento ending, which I think you mentioned, uh, with him like he's still out there, he's still alive. I gotta go kill him,
Yeah,
kind of
gotta
like
find his other
his
he's
killer.
chasing a ghost, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like he's already dead, but he has it in his head that he's still out there, so he could go out and he could be killing who knows who. So
Hopefully dude, that was his relationship with the chick from his like therapy group was so funny.
yes.
Relationship, it was kind of one-sided.
Yeah, her pursuing him and then him dropping her off in like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Just
because she
forgets
just
who she
jumps in
is.
the
Yeah.
car with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, all the side characters so great. Um any
Kind of
final
blows me away.
thoughts? Oh,
I just feel like Korean films know how to write side characters so much better than most. Like, I mean, Jordan did make a good point. We were talking about how we always say that like Korean films are all perfect, but that's because we only see kind of
the best of the best.
the best ones that make it
Mm,
out. So we're not going through all the garbage like we do of the English films, but um or American films. But I don't know. That I was just so impressed because like a lot of the characters are just um it's like the Coen brothers level where every character you're just like I know so much about this person. Like the lady, like you see her interact with him twice, and you're like, I know so much about this woman without like you don't have to give me a backstory. I know everything about her.
yeah, and in such a short time too. Like they get right to it. And like yeah, like you said, you understand their motivations, you understand what kind of character they are, and right away you like them. Like you're just like, this is a fun, interesting person. Like, and I just feel like so many other shows, Disney, this to have so flat people that you do not care or connect with. Like
You
I
mean
love
robots?
I but this you connect with so many different people, or even if you don't connect with them, at least you understand where they're coming from. Like I wouldn't say I connect with the serial killer, but he at
I
least you
do.
understand like his like his story And it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I
I love
yeah.
how he, like, you even see that he has a little bit of his soul just because of his daughter. And it's so sad. That's why it makes the ending even that much more sad, where he finds out that his daughter's not his daughter, and that she's like, because of the affair, she's the daughter from the affair, and so she's not even his blood. And so he, after murdering his wife and her lover, he was going home to murder his daughter because, like, she wasn't his. And then he gets in the accident and forgot why he was going home, and so he
I
was just
know.
like, and then you see him like start
Yeah.
to choke her
I
or
think he did
whatever,
his
and then
twitch, yeah, when he was gonna like
yeah,
kill her, and then like he started his twitch, and then he forgot what was happening. He's like, "Oh, don't cry. Why are you crying?" or whatever. Like,
yeah,
I'm
and she's
here.
like, "You're
Everything's gonna
trying
be
to choke
okay.
me, Dad. What the hell?"
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
that's
was
intense.
really worried because that was when the film, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it really all just in his head? And like, because at that point I'm like, oh, is that going to be one of those movies? But I'm so glad they didn't take that bait. Like, no, the crazy guy, the the cop was the villain,
Yeah,
which
because you could have tried to have the whole thing of, oh, like it actually is all in his head, and like this is all a big twist. But luckily, I didn't go the Shyamalan route, and actually made it good.
I know. I was so glad. I was so worried they were gonna like, oh, look at this twist. Like this one does have twists and turns, but none that are like, okay, like just trying to pull the rug out under you. Like, oh, I look at this ending. Like, oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
brother.
it did good at hinting at things, just making sure like you don't really know kind of when it shows like his false memories, and then us actually watching it. Like that was really fun
yeah,
for sure.
and it was like subtle enough, like
Mhm.
that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like that checks out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like the twists and turns, it wasn't like, oh, some random like character change. It's like, oh, this dude's a serial killer and finds out his wife's cheating on him. Like, might check out that he kills her and the
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he might actually be the
He's
one
not
that
exactly
killed
some
everybody.
average Joe. Yeah, like average people have been known to kill, like, um, like people when they find their spouse cheating or whatever. And I'm like, and a person who kills for, I don't know if I'd say fun, maybe sport is a better word, but yeah, it's crazy, but dang good. Definitely do recommend.
Yeah, me too. Um, yeah, if we don't have any other thoughts, we can get right into Cameron. What have you seen lately and what are you looking forward to?
What Jake do you recommend?
I mean, yeah, it was fantastic. Definitely a thriller, suspense, crime investigation type kind of movie,
Yeah,
and super interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
And you still haven't seen I Saw the Devil, right?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
If
I
you,
gotta
yeah,
watch that.
you
if
have
you
to watch.
like serial killer, revenge, like just like a really good Korean film, that is up there, like top tier.
All
Yeah,
right, cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe I'll watch
Memoir
it
of a
tonight.
Murder is it's in my top 100, but I have 105 right now,
Mm.
so I gotta eliminate some, but we'll figure it out.
Do you have Memories of Murder in your top 100 or not?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Do you like this one or Memories of Murder better?
that's the hard thing, is I feel like they're very different.
Yeah.
I think Memories is a tad bit better just because, like, slightly I love the characters even that much more. I mean, just the
Mm.
introduction of the cop when he 2 foot drop kicks the guy.
Have you seen
I like
Memories of
it.
Murder, Jake?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I
Oh,
watched
good.
it
Okay.
just a few weeks before this one actually, so that's pretty fresh
That's
in my
so
mind
funny.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. What did you think of that
Yeah.
one?
I really like that one too. I don't know which, I guess I like that one a little more maybe because it goes in deeper to the characters maybe a bit. Just
Oh
like
my gosh.
it's like stays with the characters and is really interesting that way because like so much time progresses. But this one I almost
Yeah,
like maybe a bit more in some ways because it is like I like the twists and turns a lot and like not knowing for sure what's really happening because this guy is kind of an unreliable narrator type of
Yes.
thing. So I kind of like that a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe I
I think
prefer this a little bit.
I think the frustrating one about Memories of Murder, which probably the reason I like it more, is it just seems so real because of how frustrating it is.
Mm,
It's just because, like, it's like there's the evidence, like it's so hard to come by. It just reminds me of Zodiac, where it's just like we're
mm,
finding out evidence fetching years later. Like, this dude probably has gotten away with so many things. Do we even know if it's the same person as copycat? Like, so many things that you're just like, there's too many things to consider. Even if a person confessed, like maybe he didn't do all of them. Some, like, there's just too many factors into it that it's almost unsatisfying of how frustrating it is, and that's why you're just like, because that's what when the match is like, because isn't that how it ends? It's like the match from the FBI is like inconclusive or whatever. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't give a fudge. He's like, it's
He
French's
was gonna shoot him.
conclusive.
Yeah.
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 So good.
Another funny part about that other movie, The Memories of Murder, like just like convincing all the people to confess, not convincing, like beating them into confession, basically. Like
Yes.
those are crazy things. Like everyone they interrogated, they just like made them confess basically, and then everyone like believed they were confessing, kind of, especially that
Yeah.
one guy.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what's crazy is how intelligent that one dude was to piece together like the reason this kid knows about the murders is because he witnessed them. Because he is a
I
little bit
pointed that
weird
out. I was
and
watching
was
with Jane. I
no
figured that
way.
out. I was like, what did I say? He was describing it in detail, and I was like, Jane, how does he know these things or whatever? And he's like, oh, they're just asking him. And I was like, well, it didn't seem like they asked him the questions, that he's kind of just like seeing it like it's happening. Like I thought he would saw it happen, and like I kind of pieced it together early on, which is pretty cool.
Genius.
Yeah, there's some golden moments in that movie. Oh my gosh, when he like caught the guy because he saw he was wearing the underwear, the like pink panties or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
And then he turns around and he's like drinking, he's like acting like all smug. So good.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the scene when they catch the guy with the shopping for child's clothes. He's like, we're
Oh
going
yeah,
Oh
shopping for
yeah.
right.
children's
Yeah.
clothes
Prisoners,
in Zodiac, yeah, or in Prisoners, yeah.
prisoners, yeah.
And he's like, I
Well,
don't know what
I
you
Yeah,
just
want.
love
kids.
it. I just love it. He says he's like, I can look at their eyes and I know they're the killer, which I loved in this film too, that he mentioned that he's like, I can tell he's a killer, but can he tell that I was a killer too?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's great. I sometimes wonder that if people can just like look into people's eyes and know.
And I'm interested in that as well. I feel like with killers, like if you can just kind of tell them apart, if you're a killer, if you can just like pick a person just by interacting with them, just like be like you're not like normal people, like you're like me.
Hmm.
I'm really curious to kind of know because I feel like I mean, killing somebody like
There's one way to find out.
yeah, exactly. I like they're killing people like outside of a war, especially just like murder. I feel like it's something that just totally takes a part of your soul, and so I feel
Mm.
like you could just like easily recognize that from somebody else. Be like, you're missing a part of your soul. Who knows? But yeah, getting into what I've watched recently, a whole lot of nerdy stuff. I watched Justice League: Gods and Monsters. Um, that was pretty good. 7 out of 10. Justice League, Dark, Apocalypse War, 8 out of 10. That was really good.
Oh dang.
Triangle of Sadness, that was really good. I hated the fucking ending, but
I
it
love that
was
ending.
it's like R-rated Gilligan's Island. Uh, it's like what would actually happen with people on Gilligan's Island, uncivilized the monkeys, and then
Well, I mean, but
uh,
we were discussing it, Cameron. You're like, because if you were there and that girl was like not giving you food, you would like attack her.
oh yeah,
Like,
dude, I would fucking murder her. I'm like, you're some like 4'8" chick. Like, we'll see you later.
well, I mean, but you know, don't bite the hand that feeds you. She's literally the only person that can provide you with food, Cameron. I'm just saying.
I'm a Boy Scout. I could survive. Yeah, but clearly
Maybe
those model people definitely didn't know how to survive.
Cameron would just resort to eating the people. It's just like
Yeah, just kill them all and cook them.
This is the plane crash or shipwreck one that
the
Yeah.
shipwreck.
we talked about. Yeah. Okay.
hmm
Yeah.
and,
Sounds good.
and then I watched the interview with Jake. It was
Oh
so
yeah.
funny. Oh
Oh,
my
is that
That was
God.
was Seth
good.
Rogen and when
Yeah,
they're
Uh-huh.
okay?
in the interview, Kim Jong-un
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah,
Kim Jong-il,
I
whatever.
was listening to the interview with Seth, and he said the scene he wanted to do an Indiana Jones scene where that bomb, when it was going off, you know, his face is rippling. Well, they had to remove it and add in flames around it after because his face actually started like melting and stuff, and they did a cool effect. But they
Oh,
had to change that for the ratings because there was like a whole controversy about China being really mad that they made it or whatever.
Yeah,
North
well,
Korea, but
North Korea actually tried to shut it
Oh, North
down.
Korea, that's what it was.
Yeah,
So,
they like I'm pretty sure they hacked into like the theater system or whatever and like tried to delete the file that like had the film or whatever. But then like other people like US hackers had gotten a hold of the film and so they released it on like all these websites for free. And so the and then like they ended
oh
up getting
man.
it back or whatever. But And then I watched Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons. That was pretty good, 7 out of 10. I finished Young Justice finally, thanks to Jake and
Okay.
Um, the first season is amazing of Young Justice. The second one's really good too, but then it kind of trails off. Like 3 and 4 aren't as good. Um, it starts getting a little political, and there's like random things like Aquaman sidekick Aqualad is like gay. I'm like, what the fuck? And there's just kind of some random things that I was like, I did not see this coming. I watched Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. That was pretty good, 7 out of 10. Aladdin, the new one. I was actually
The
surprised.
live action, or
Yeah, the live action. I actually like decently enjoyed that. I went in with like, oh, it's gonna be garbage. It's definitely one of the better live actions that I've seen.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it was Guy Ritchie working on it, so
yeah, so it was pretty fun. I mean, the first one, I mean, the original is still way better, but then watched Justice League versus the Teen Titans, Batman, Bad Blood, all both great. I watched Batman Hush, which is a really good one. It's essentially um like Batman, I think, killed somebody in the past or whatever, and it's like coming back to haunt him. And then Batman vs. Robin, really good. I watched the first 2 seasons of Harley Quinn. Both were amazing. Well, first one amazing.
yeah.
Second one was still pretty good. But then it kind of ended weird where like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are lesbian, and like the whole thing centers around them and their love. And I'm just like, ew, get back to King Shark and all that stuff. I don't know. And then what I've been crazy binging lately, well, I've been watching a lot of New Girl with Kelsey as well, but then I've been watching Titans on HBO Max. Um, Actually, surprisingly really good. I'd say 8 out of 10. It definitely is guilty pleasure for me. Super cheesy moments. The action, the CGI is horrendous.
is this one an animated show or a live action, or
It's live action, and so
okay?
that's why the animation is, or the CGI is rough sometimes, but because it's a small budget TV show, but still really fun. It's fun because I'm just a nerd for the superhero stuff, and it's like a lot of the backstories of people and kind of just the relationship building and all that stuff. So it's really fun kind of seeing our backgrounds and a different take on everything. Because like the whole entire first season centers around Raven, who is like one of the most powerful Teen Titans, and it kind of shows around her story. Because essentially, from the Judas Contract, the real, or like I'm not sure how at which comic book backstory this is, but she's like her mom was part of a cult and ended up like, and they summoned like Satan, and then she had a kid with Satan, and then it's Raven,
Wow.
and Raven is the only person who can like summon Satan to this realm or whatever. Well, his name is Trigon. He's like the destroyer of worlds, and so um, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then this one they did it a little bit different, where the mom was like, because in the other one the mom hate like after she got, because she kind of got brainwashed into the cult, she like wants to keep her daughter as far away from possible. But in this one, she um she like wants him to come back, and she like works as his loyal like subject or whatever, and then he like kills her. But the last episode of season 1, Jordan, I think you would really like, because it shows um it's like this world, because it shows one of Dick Grayson, who used to be the original Robin, who later becomes Nightwing. It shows his worst nightmare, which is Batman losing control, and he just starts murdering. Like the first person he murders is the Joker. He launches him from a building, and then he goes into Arkham and starts like murdering like Two Face and everybody. It's insane. And so, yeah, I think you might like that episode, but it's super cheesy, but I really like it.
Dang, you've been watching a lot of superhero
Yeah.
nerd
And then
stuff.
just on my watch list, I want to watch The Lobster and then also The King of Staten Island.
I just started watching that last night with my wife. She loves it, dude.
The
Lobster's
Lobster.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer with Jake, and we were considering watching it, but we ended up watching the interview because we wanted to laugh.
Okay, yeah. Well, I actually ended up watching a movie by that same director called Dogtooth. It's not one I can recommend, but I can recommend The Lobster. That's a good one.
Okay.
Because Dogtooth has a very similar ending to The Lobster, which I'm excited to talk about with you once you watch it. Because it's just
Okay.
like it's very ambiguous, and you're like, oh no, and you can have like lots of discussions about it afterwards. It's one of those films, and it's very fun to talk about the society because it's crazy.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I know a little bit. I know his like brother is a dog because his brother. I don't know though if you fail, like if you find love and you become an animal, or if you don't find love, I don't remember.
yeah, that'll all unfold. I won't spoil it for you.
Spoil.
But
Okay.
Jake, if you want to talk about what you've seen lately.
Yeah, haven't watched too much because my semester has been wrapping up, so I've been pretty busy. But I did watch the interview with Cam. That was great. I really am a fan of, I don't know, Seth Rogen and James Franco, I guess. They're a
Yeah.
great duo. Even though I think there's kind of a lot of drama between them now. I think like Seth Rogen is like stepping away from James Franco, or is it the other way around?
Hmm.
Because one of them I think had some controversy or something like that.
Oh,
And
interesting. I
I think
know
they said they weren't going
James.
to work together anymore.
Oh, I
Something,
didn't.
or I don't know if that's holding, or I thought I heard that maybe, but
Well, I mean, no, I know James Franco, like they try to cancel him or whatever. Maybe he is canceled, but
mm,
and I know Seth Rogen, especially now, he's been producing a lot of content. Like he
He did
was,
The Boys.
yeah, he helped produce The
mm.
Boys and he helped
Oh
produce
wow,
Invincible, which are two like amazing shows. So
yeah.
Fetch It needs to
Mhm.
come out with season 2.
And then
Have you seen
recently
Invincible, Jake?
I've I watched the first episode with you and Jordan and I loved it. And then I kind of watched a little bit with Anna and Josh, but I kind of was like doing other stuff while it was happening. So I need to do like a full on watch through because I just saw like bits and pieces with them,
Uh-huh.
but I do need to watch that. I also
Yeah,
need to finish the most recent season of The Boys. Haven't seen
yeah.
that yet either.
yeah, that
And
has
then
some amazing moments, but I mean, we'll talk about that when you watch it.
you mean The Boys?
Yeah, season three, just
Okay.
they built up on some
Yeah.
really great stuff, and I feel like they kind of by the end
Mm,
like let it go. But you'll see.
gotcha. And then recently I watched an anime. I don't know if you guys are that into anime, but I watched one that kind of fits in this genre we've been talking about. It's called Psycho Pass, and it takes place in Japan, and it's kind of like this world. It's like 100 years in the future, and it's basically like the whole society of Japan is ruled by this supercomputer kind of. And so like it places everyone in their career, it like controls like laws and safety, and like the plot of the show is it follows these like investigators that they're basically the police, and they have like this special gun that like if they point it at someone, it like shows like a number, and basically this number is called their psychopaths. And in the society, this number like represents your like mental stability, kind of like if you're a criminal or if you're like okay. So basically, yeah, they point the gun, the inspectors point the gun at people and it shows like this number. Based on the number, like the gun will like activate and it'll say like okay, this person is crazy enough to where you need to like stun them, or if they're like super crazy, it'll say like okay, like kill them now, and basically you have to kill them because like this computer is running the society.
Sounds
And
like
there's
Minority
this
Report.
Yeah,
there's
that's
this
what I was
interesting,
thinking.
I think I've heard of a comparison to that actually. And it's kind of like there's this dynamic between the investigators. They have these partners. They're called like I forgot what they're called, but basically these other people that are their kind of assistants or like co-investigators. They are high like a high number when their gun is pointed at them. Like they were previously criminals and now they work for like the government police, but they're still like considered criminals. Like their number is still really high, and that's why they're the assistants and they can't actually be in control. And then it's kind of like follows a little similarity to like Death Note. I think you guys maybe have both seen that, to where there's like
Yeah.
these two very smart individuals against each other, and it's like they're trying to catch each other. Like one's committing lots of crimes and like getting away, and this other one's trying to like predict what he's going to do, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's just a super interesting show for sure. And yeah, I really like it.
That's sick.
And where's that streaming on Netflix or something?
Um, it's actually on Crunchyroll, if you know what that is. It's like an anime
Yeah,
thing.
no, I
It's
use
not
that.
currently on Netflix. Yeah.
No, I used Crunchyroll for a while. Uh, I even think like I canceled my subscription, but for some reason I was still getting access. I don't know if because I know on certain streaming services you can still get access to certain things, just not everything. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think part of it is maybe free. I'm not sure exactly how it works,
Okay,
but
maybe that's why. Because
something
I'm
like that.
like, why is it still letting me watch stuff?
Yeah,
Because my roommate got me into. Have you heard of Mob Psycho 100?
I have heard of that. I haven't tried it, but I've heard like the animation's pretty cool and stuff.
Well, yeah,
It's like
because
similar to
this
One Punch Man, right? It's the one
exactly. It's
same.
the
Yeah,
same creator, yeah, as One
yeah,
Punch Man.
yeah,
So the art is so cool because his art
yeah.
is amazing, and
Uh-huh.
they just came out with the third season. I'm
Mm.
rewatching the first right now. I just watched the first episode today, actually.
Cool. Yeah.
Just the animation is so cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. His art is amazing. So I watched a movie called I think it's pronounced Bedevilled, and holy crap, Cameron, we are totally reviewing this next week. It's amazing. It's I don't want to. It's another Korean film, but it's man, they're just home run hits. But this one is unbelievable.
What's it
Like
called?
Yeah, what was it
uh,
called again?
it's called Bedeviled. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Medieval.
So if you said bed, evil, lead. I don't know. Yeah, it's I don't even want to spoil it because if I say what it's like, then you guys will right away like kind of piece all the parts together and maybe figure it out. But there are some parts I skipped at the beginning, so because there's some, not that it's boring or anything, but just some of it I'm like, oof, this is rough.
Yeah, it says a woman subject to mental, physical, and sexual abuse on a remote island seeks a way out.
Yeah, so there's a few parts I skipped. So, but once you get past that, oh my gosh, like the second, I mean, it's a perfect build up to the greatest ending. Oh my gosh, it's insane. But yeah, I say we review it next week. But Jake, I recommend I Saw the Devil first because I think it is a little bit above this one, even though this
Yeah.
one is up
Jordan,
there.
have you seen the new Knives Out?
There's a new
The
one?
Glass Onion.
Oh wait, it releases December 23rd.
Well, they did release it in theaters like a couple weeks ago for just like a 1 week, and
Oh,
then they're gonna release it on Netflix. I'm just gonna wait till it comes out because
smart.
yeah, I
That doesn't sound like you, Jordan.
all right. Well, if it's worth, I mean, if I get excited enough, then I'll go and see it in the theaters.
Is it ever since the zombie one? What was that called?
Oh my gosh, Army of the Dead was
Ever
trash.
since
Well,
Army of the Dead.
and I also wish I saw Martin Scorsese's newest film, The Irishman,
Irishman.
on Netflix, because then I could have taken a break halfway through because I tried watching it in the theater and I fell asleep.
Gosh.
It's
I
3 hours.
really enjoyed that, but yeah, it was so long. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so long. I wish I could take it in like a break because
Mm.
it's not quite as fast paced. I guess I thought it would be more like, The Wolf of Wall Street or Departed, like very quick.
Mm.
And it's I mean, it's even slower than Goodfellas, which actually Goodfellas is very fast paced. So I don't even know what to compare it to.
Is it more like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah, yeah.
where the
But
entire first 2.5 hours is nothing, and then you're like, oh. Especially if you're someone like me who didn't even know who fetching the Mansons were, because they're uncultured
yeah.
swine, and I'm like, okay, who the fudge are these people?
Well, I kept thinking that watching it too. I'm like, oh my gosh, if nobody knows who they are, and that's why I had to tell Ty before going in. I'm like, you should do a little research because otherwise you're not going to know who they are. And then also a couple days ago, S. Craig Zoller, he came out with a new comic book, and so I bought that and I've been reading it. And Cameron, just like the scene from not Departed, what's the one where
Dragged
there's
across country.
yeah, Dragged Across Concrete, the bank heist, where the girls take this to my baby. There's a scene similar to that in
Oh
this,
my gosh,
where it's just like there's like this great emotional moment, and all of a sudden it's like completely obliterated, and there's carnage, and it's really great.
that's horrendous.
And I did start Infernal Affairs as well. I haven't finished it yet, but it is so much like Departed. It's crazy. Like, because
Really?
yeah, I mean, there's only a few people that can make foreign films in America and make them good. And Martin Scorsese was one of those to make Infernal Affairs into Departed. Like, wow, that's amazing that he was able to pull that off because the majority, I'd say, of foreign films that turn to American films are absolute rubbish. Like,
Oh, did he base his movie off of Infernal Affairs?
yeah, it's
Oh,
almost
that's interesting.
it's so, I mean, there's even lines in it that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's word for word the same line.
Wow,
And yeah,
I might have to
so
check that out. It's
yeah, I mean,
Korean or
uh
what? French?
or maybe Chinese, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really bad at I'm bad at knowing like I because I know there's a huge difference. I mean, you'd ask other people, but it's sometimes like if I'm not really paying attention to the words and I'm just reading it, I can't really hear it as well as some other people. But I think it's Chinese. I could be
Jordan
way
doesn't
off.
see color.
But it's really good.
It's China.
Okay, that's what I thought. So hey, I wasn't wrong. I said Chinese.
Well, at least it says in some of the trivia, it says in China and Hong Kong, the number 4 is considered bad luck because it sounds similar to the word death.
Yeah, I'm feeling more confident now. It's Chinese. um, yeah, so that was fun. Haven't finished it yet, but it's like I said, a beat for beat remake. But I kind of like Departed better just because I mean you got all these amazing
The best
actors.
actors, yeah.
Yeah, because the problem with this film is like I was having a really hard time because it was so fast paced. Like I was trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, okay, wait, he the I'm like trying to follow like who's who. And I guess I'm not that far into it, but I mean, he even has a cast, Cameron, just like
Oh, just like
Leonardo
Leo.
DiCaprio. Yeah. And there's just lots of but there's a lot of little changes though. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting change where I'm almost like, I wonder if Martin Scorsese was watching this and just being like, ooh, I wonder if I just changed this a little bit, like how
To
much,
make it better.
yeah.
He's Are you comparing him to Weird Al?
Wait, what?
And he's like, oh, I could make these lyrics better.
Oh, that's right. He said that. That's right. But Cameron, remember, he came out with the original songs.
Oh
They
yeah, the
they
original
stole from him.
Michael Jackson copied. Bad.
Um, I think that's everything, guys, unless you have anything else.
I guess one more movie I'm looking forward to that I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
I know you guys are both not big fans of Avatar, but I'm really looking forward to Avatar 2. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I
And Jake
mean,
will never be invited back on the podcast.
I mean, James Cameron hasn't had any misses, right? Oh, Piranha
Def-
2. I forgot about that one.
Define misses. Box office, like
I
box
mean, I
office,
still
and
like
like
Titanic. I thought that was
smashes
the
aren't
first
exactly
half was great.
the first half.
Terminator 1 and 2, Aliens. Oh
Okay,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Dude, I still haven't seen Titanic.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Um,
It's just one of those. It's my Green Mile. I just gotta watch like
you haven't seen Green Mile
I
yet?
haven't seen that.
no
I haven't seen that
Oh
either.
my
that
gosh.
3 hour 9 minute runtime is daunting. I'm like
But
every time I look at it, I'm like I should watch this, and then I'm like 3 hours and 9 minutes.
yeah,
But then I'll
it's
sit down for 4 hours and watch like 80 episodes of a TV show. But it's just the thought of sitting down with 3 hours and 9 minutes of one movie is like
oh, but
scary.
it's amazing, Cameron. I mean, it's just like Shawshank Redemption. I mean, same director, same writer. I mean, Stephen King. It's
Tom Hanks,
yes, it's
the
good.
black dude from C Spot Run. For some reason, that's
I
like the
I
number one role I remember him from. That and Dodgeball.
I can see him with that chrome eye in Sin City, or not chrome. It was the gold. Um,
It's
is he
funny.
in See Spot Run? I think
I'm
you're
pretty
thinking
sure he's
of the
in C Spot.
scary movie guy.
No, this I'm pretty sure it's C Spot Run.
I don't
Dude,
know.
I used to watch C Spot Run all the time. I don't know any Jack. That was like one of me and Grant's favorites. Same thing with Aragon. I watched Aragon like 6 times in 1 week once.
Oh, you're
That's a
right.
good
He
movie.
is.
It was a good movie when I was a
I
kid.
I was confusing Anthony, this guy. I was confusing him. He was
Hmm.
his
He's in
partner.
Transformers.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's also in the Scary Movie 3, if you watch that one.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
see,
know.
I just remember that.
Oh,
Him.
okay. Yeah, that's right.
I just remember he has such a distinct voice. He's like, hey, I'm only gonna tell you once. It's just like it's such a deep. His voice matches his body.
And the only reason Cameron can talk like that is because he's sick right now.
Yeah, I got the flow.
All right, guys. I think that's everything. Bye.
Peace.
See ya.